dark, cold world out there. There's a time to live and a time for a man to die. There are places for dead men in the earth and the sky. Don't you venture too far now, 'cause you can't come back from the place where the good guys always dress in black. When you go to the old saloon at the dead South End, gonna find you a man there wants to be your friend. If you dare to deny his wish, you'll be dead by dawn. So give him a drink and a smile and then move right on.
Hello, and welcome to Legends of Texas, Truths, Myths, and Ghost Stories. This is Episode 3, the Ashton Villa in Galveston, Texas. Building began in 1860 and took 4 years to complete the Italian-style villa. Wealthy hardware businessman James Brown then moved into the villa with his wife, Rebecca Ashton Stoddard. They had 5 children, John, Moreau, Rebecca, Charles, and Mathilda. Betty and Mathilda were the most dominant personalities in the household. It was an ornate villa and had 16,500 square feet. The 3-story structure was one of the first brick homes in Texas. The showplace of this villa was the ornate formal living room called the Gold Room. There is also a grand center stairway connecting the floors with a customary landing on each floor. During the Civil War, Ashton Villa was used as a hospital for Confederate soldiers. At various times, it was under the control of either the Union or the Confederate forces. At the end of the Civil War, it is reported that the surrender of Confederate forces took place in the Gold Room. Ghost soldiers have been seen from time to time marching through the property. As Galveston was popular as a trade port, fortunes soon returned after the end of the Civil War, and things got back to normal in the Brown household. James Brown continued to gather wealth and lived at the Texas Palace. In 1895, James Brown passed away, leaving the mansion to his wife, Rebecca. In 1900, a devastating hurricane hit Galveston Island, flooding the land with gallons of water. Mrs. Brown, thinking quickly, opened up all the doors and windows on the ground floor, allowing the water to flow through and out the back door, therefore keeping it from pushing the house down. Eventually, she passed away in 1907, therefore leaving the enormous villa to Betty. Rebecca Ashton Brown, known as Betty, was one of the prominent ladies of Galveston society. She grew into a strikingly beautiful, tall, well-figured, sophisticated lady. Betty often wore her blonde hair on the top of her head. Growing up in an atmosphere of abundance of material goods, she quickly developed the attitude of a Texas princess. She was known as a free spirit who loved adventure and travel. She had no desire to settle down with any one man. Instead, she spent her life collecting expensive clothes, gentlemen callers, and unusual ornate fans. She gave grand, elaborate parties. She was intelligent, artistic, and fun-loving. At social events given in the villa, she would often join her guests with kittens riding on the train of her gown. She was considered to be totally self-absorbed, but this didn't stop the continual attention of her gentlemen suitors. She was seldom seen without an admiring escort at the many gala events on the island. Often she shocked others by smoking in public in a time where it just wasn't done. She studied art in Paris, and many of the paintings and artwork throughout the mansion are her work. Her other travels included Morocco, Jerusalem, Egypt, China, Japan, and India. Treasures collected throughout her travels are exhibited today throughout the mansion. Betty is often spotted in the villa in various locations. Her presence is felt most strongly on the central stairway and in the hallway on the second-floor landing. She is often seen wearing a beautiful turquoise evening gown, her favorite color, and holding one of her ornate Victorian fans, of which there is an extensive collection in the gold room. Other events include the furniture moving by itself, the clocks that stop working for no mechanical reason, ceiling fans that turn themselves off and on, and an ornate chest of drawers purchased by Betty in the Middle East that locks and unlocks spontaneously, even though the key has been missing for years. Others have experienced the exotic smell of jasmine and roses, one of Betty's favorite scents. One report by a caretaker says that he heard his dog one night barking wildly. Fearful that someone was trying to break into the house, when he approached the gold room, he heard the voices of a man and a woman arguing. When he entered the room, he saw a woman sitting on the piano stool, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. She was looking at a man who appeared to be very angry with her. He said the man had dark curly hair and a beard, and that both were dressed in 1800 garb. The man was reported to say, "It is foolish for any man to talk to you about marriage. You couldn't really love anyone, for you are too absorbed in your own pleasures, your collection of meaningless objects, and most of all, your looks." She answered him, "Harrison, do you really believe this? I won't listen to such hateful words." A noise startled the caretaker, and he looked behind him. Turning back, the man was gone. The woman sat at the piano crying, laying her head on her arms. He said she then walked over to her fan collection and picked up a fan. She then walked to the mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of all?" She dropped the fan and slowly dissolved into thin air. She has reportedly been photographed looking out the second-floor window from between the curtains. Betty is not the only one of the Brown family reported to be haunting the property. Mathilda Brown Sweeney, her sister, has also been seen, or rather heard. She married Thomas Sweeney in 1884, but 7 years later he became extremely abusive toward Mathilda. This abuse was witnessed by maids, family members, and neighbors. So Betty went door to door collecting evidence of the abuse for use in the divorce proceedings, a practice that was extremely rare in those Victorian times. Thomas was shown in his true light and even failed in his attempt to keep the home where he and Mathilda lived. But after the divorce, Tilly, as she was often called, was allowed to keep the home and the inheritances while married. Piano music is often heard in the gold room, which is sometimes credited to Betty. However, Betty never learned to play the piano. More than likely, this is Tilly, as she was an accomplished pianist. Miss Betty died in 1920, and in 1927, a granddaughter of James sold the mansion to the Elmina Shrine. The Shriners used the house for their business offices and social functions until 1968. After rumors began to circulate that the mansion would be demolished, the Galveston Historical Foundation purchased the property in 1971. They restored it and located much of the original furnishings and artwork. In July of '74, Ashton Villa was opened to the public. In 2008, it was again hit by a hurricane, when Hurricane Ike blew through the Galveston region. After extensive repairs, it was again restored to its stately self. The home is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and continues to survive the brunt of time and tide. Perhaps it's the original furnishing and Betty's beloved possessions that keep her there. Or perhaps she has unfinished business with fellow spirit Harrison, who seemed to be deeply in love with her. He perhaps is the only one who could rival her love for her possessions and herself, making her conflicted within herself. Either way, there is no sign of the spirits leaving the Ashton Villa mansion. Perhaps that's the way it should be. This is JC. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Texas Legends, Truths, Myths, and Ghost Stories. Please subscribe so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. And as always, please feel free to comment and give me a like. Thanks for watching. Bye.